Joe, if you want to, walk us through a little bit more about MDIC and the program. And Daniel, again, this wouldn't exist without the FDA, so feel free to jump in as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. And so we'll talk a little bit about who MDIC is, and then we'll talk a little bit about AMCH, and I'll try to go through this quickly so we have enough time for questions. But MDIC is a public-private partnership. We were started in 2012 with the sole mission of accelerating innovation and access to innovation to healthcare professionals and patients. And so when you look at our vision, mission, and action areas, it's really breaks down how we work and what we focus on. And really within the mission, it's breaking down those barriers. And so those barriers come from a variety of stakeholders. And in the next slide, you'll see how our stakeholder list really is distributed between in terms of government, industry, and nonprofits. And so this is just an example of the groups that we work with, where our stakeholders are, and where our strategic partnerships lie. The way we do the work and the way we break down barriers is through the development of resources. If you can go back one slide, Jason, real quick, is through the resources, the participating members. You'll see here, talking about networking earlier, we've got access to over 900 or so subject matter experts that are all volunteers in the work that we generate. And across the various program areas within MDIC that touch quality, manufacturing, design, patient engagement, digital technologies, as well as evidence generation, we have over 60 working groups within our space that touch in a variety of those areas. And so specifically advanced manufacturing, which is the next slide, as I mentioned, there was a conversation with FDA where there was a recognition that there's a gap in the med device space, that companies, small, medium, and large, pick a size, are not necessarily adopting the digital tools that are out there to impact in a positive way variety of aspects of across their total product life cycle. So while we talk about advanced manufacturing, we are talking about design quality. So there are a lot of tools out there that could cut across the total product life cycle. And regardless of the solution or the solution provider, there are so many options out there that people can use to implement a digital tool that can help in their efficiencies, in their digital twins, their digital threads, and there's a lot of out there. And that's what's reflected in the 10 projects that we selected over the last year and a half, thanks to some help from FDA in the selection process. But we have 10 programs or projects, of which JuneBrain is one of them. And in exchange for some of the funding that we were able to provide, we're looking for the use case, which is essentially your story, your case study around the journey. And we're not interested in the technology. We're not interested in what specifications you've changed or what product it applies to. It's really talking about what you've heard so far today, which are decisions that are made internally. JuneBrain is a significant advantage because the CEO has bought into the technology, has bought into this philosophy. So very few objections, very few barriers. But there may be other stories within the 10 examples where that challenge does exist. And so we're trying to collect all of those case studies so that whether you're in the program of one of the 10 or you're interested in learning more about advanced manufacturing clearinghouse, come to us, and we're willing to collect your story and share your story, because again, the value of MDIC is our partners, our members, and anyone who comes to MDIC really gets a lot out of those shared use cases and those success stories, as well as some of those stories that, well, it didn't go so well, but we made an adjustment and this is why it went well. So that's really kind of the summary. You'll be seeing some early use cases coming from MDIC starting in March. We've got a lot going on right now, and we've got some we're actually on track for our first use case. This is actually a great webinar opportunity to sort of demonstrate what the use cases will be like. So happy to pass over to Daniel and get his insights as to the value of driving adoption of technology in the MedTech space.
So I love following Joe because he does it all for me. So I really just get the easy job in filling in the details. Commonly, where we are, on top of me agreeing with everything that Joe has said, because we've been partners in this the whole way through, the big question that's usually said, whether to us directly or more commonly to folks like Joe, and sometimes spoken about within, Sam might hear these kind of questions is, yeah, but FDA is not really going to buy it. And they're not gonna do this because, just the burden's too high. FDA is not gonna like that because there's a burden. And we just can't afford to take that risk with the burden. Well, my presence here is precisely to prove the opposite. We are leaning into these kinds of technologies and implementations. We are here to demonstrate and say clearly, there's nothing about our regulation or systems or anything that say you can't go and further your technology and advance your technology. In fact, we hope you do. The demonstrated ability is that products get better when you use better tech to make better products. So we're looking to support the notion of that. Are there going to be misunderstandings, bumps, bruises along the way? Of course, it's human. People are human and they implement processes they may not understand. One of the great things about this particular thing is that Sam has recognized up at the front, it takes a robust team of people who understand what you need to do in order to get the job done. So from the agency's perspective, we want to support the implementation of advanced technology. We partner with MDIC because they have a great network of folks that are looking into it. They have connections, and then we get wonderful cases like JuneBrain. So we get to be able to say we support the tech. Here's a circumstance where this would actually, if all of the cards fall into place, that it will tell a very compelling story from the agency's perspective about how to support, and then we can turn around and say, look, this, we know companies are doing this, and not only we've experienced it firsthand. We talk with these companies all the time, and if you want to talk to these companies to tell them, their experience and learn from them, that's part of the reason why I think Jason was pretty insightful in setting up a webinar series like this. So also for Joe, and setting up the ability, we intend to communicate back what are these experiences, and here, at least for FDA, we'll be able to say, and here's how we support this. That this is not done. These aren't people off on some crazy initiative. No, this is a partnership with FDA sitting at the table to try to lend credence to the idea that, yes, we really do care, and no, we are not trying to stifle the industry.
Excellent.